Hey! Let's have a conversation about progress narratives. What is a progress narrative? That's just like a story, an idea that we're on a journey and we're all working for change. It's kind of like it gets better or make it better, or, you'll figure yourself out. We're fighting for justice. We're making progress. That is a progress narrative. And progress narratives are cool and flawed, and cool and flawed. Like everything. Everything is cool. Not everything. A lot of things are cool, but they're not perfect. And I'm writing a speech about progress narratives. And I kind of want to get your thought on them. First of all, I think they're neat because progress narratives talk about like a movement. So we are constantly... Okay, so they talk about a movement, which is cool because that acknowledges that there has been a past, and perhaps the past has been full of achievements. So if we're all working forward, we can say, look how far we've come. You hear like speeches at graduations and things, and it's like, look how far you've come. Which is like cliche and sometimes tired, but like kind of necessary. Are we only supposed to be futuristic? That gets exhaustive, and we need to validate the cool things that we've done and the hard decisions we've had to make. And sometimes it's important to... Sorry, I was just watching this interaction between my dog and my cat, making sure it was okay. It was okay. Usually Finley doesn't sniff Elliot so closely, but Elliot smells like the vet, so Finley is curious. It was fine. What was I saying? Oh, and sometimes it's celebrating these things, making a spectacle of things is important because you're like making space for yourself and you're being loud about your pride and you're showing pride, which like normalizes the thing you're celebrating, and not only normalizes it but makes it a positive thing, and you're not like allowing for erasure or invisibility. So sometimes, like when we look how far we've come and we make a big deal about it, that act in itself is important. Does that make sense? Also, progress narratives are cool because they acknowledge that there's more to do. It doesn't like allow for lethargy or like too much... What would the like state of being stagnant be called? It's not like stagnation. Too much stagnance, I think, would be good. Progress narratives are cool because they say, let's keep going, there's more to do, which is neat. The one problem that I have with progress narratives is they imply that things are like linear and that there's a finish line. And I don't like that because I think that's too simple, and I don't think it does the journey and the movement and everything that is life justice. Progress narratives are hard to talk about because life and progress and inequity and adversity and intersectionality and blah, blah, blah is never really encapsulated often when we're talking about progress. So, for example, like some person's journey isn't always linear. Sometimes a person's journey moves forward and then regresses, and that's important. And then they've like learned and then moves forward again. Sometimes it moves forward and like strays. Sometimes we do a different thing or we focus on a different thing. Sometimes we have to start over because we forgot something or we unlearned something or we fucked up or we didn't fuck up. It's time for us to start over. So it kind of like, I think, and that whole thing is progress. Sometimes moving, sometimes you gotta move back to keep going. And also sometimes we do sit in places for a while. Sometimes we have to sit in struggles. Sometimes we have to sit in feelings. Sometimes we have to sit in identities. And sometimes sitting in itself is moving forward. If you just repress and barrel through, you're never learning anything. You're never processing. Also, progress narratives don't often acknowledge that people start at different places. Also, progress, and like I said before, they kind of imply that one day we'll get there, wherever the fuck there is. And I don't like that because I don't think we'll ever get there. So I think it's like setting you up for failure. It's unrealistic. You'll never get there. Why would you want to get there? There's always more to go. And also it like sets you up to stop trying, essentially. Like I met this person and they are cool and smart, but they said a thing that was I didn't agree with. Not in like I was offended and angry way. They just said a thing and I was just like, oh, I don't think so. I'm going to tell you about the thing. Basically, they were like, I think I'm going to quit YouTube. And I was like, oh, okay, why? And I wasn't expecting their answer. I would have I accepted their answer and I would have accepted, I accepted their answer in a way where if like they want to quit YouTube, they want to quit YouTube. But I would have accepted, and by accepted, I would have been, I would have thought the answer made sense if it was essentially any other answer. If they were like, I want to quit YouTube because I feel like it. I want to quit YouTube because I want to take my life in a different direction. I want to quit YouTube because I feel like it's taking up too much of my time that I want to spend on other things like starting a family or going back to school or blah, 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 blah. I want to quit YouTube because fuck it. I just want to see what my life would be like without doing YouTube. Anything. But they said, I want to quit YouTube because I think our work is done. And I was like, what does that mean? And they said, then they talked about like what YouTube was when they started. They were like, oh, there was no visibility for LGBT people. You never saw couples in love. Now you see it everywhere. Now the top channels are LGBT. Now, like, the visibility is there. It isn't so, like, hush-hush in whispers. A lot of the resources are there. So I think my work is done. And that just really kind of disappointed me because first of all, I don't think it was very intersectional. Like as a trans person, I was talking to a homosexual person, and I'm trying not to say like what their gender is because I don't want to I don't want to give you anything to like clock who they are. So they were homosexual, which is a really weird word I never use, but they were homosexual. And as a trans person, I was like, well, I feel like you are ignoring me because I definitely don't think our work is done. But clearly you're coming from like an LGB perspective. And maybe that's why you think so. Also, it just seemed like settling. Like, really? Even in the LGB world, you think our work is done? You don't think there's homophobia out there, and you don't think there's more to do? And so sometimes I think progress narratives imply that there's this end, and it creates this idea that you can get to a place where you can look at things and say, my work is done. And I just don't think the work is done. Also, I think that erases like the adversity that people of color face. I mean, anything that's intersectional. People with disabilities, neurodivergent people. Hi, Finley. Finley. Okay, awesome. Oh my gosh. I know, you're so needy. Ah! He's so excited. He was like, I get to be in the vlog! I get to be in the vlog! Yeah, you're just gonna sit here? Oh, okay. That's nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. That's great. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, what do you think about progress narratives? That's what you think? That's great. You just wanna... It's a good butt. Oh, you're gonna be a parrot, huh? Yeah, you're gonna sit on my shoulders! Okay. I think that's enough. Go lay down or get off. I know, now I riled you up. That's my fault. I know, I'm a bad human. Okay, off. Sit. I know you think we're playing. We're not. Sit. Lay down. Good. Okay. Stay for me. Thank you. Stay. So, I want to give a speech, and I want to talk about what real progress looks like. That it isn't linear, that it's messy, and that it's okay to be in a perpetual state of, maybe it's not even progress, because kind of progress kind of implies that you always have to be fucking grinding or working or hustling. But you can just kind of be, you know? You can be and you can go. And why I think that kind of idea is important, it's because it allows for fluidity and change. And so like in your personal journey, your personal progression of you, it like allows for you. So for example, like I thought I was done coming out when I proclaimed 10 years ago that I was questioning my sexuality. Then 9 years ago, when I proclaimed I was gay. Then 8 years ago, when I proclaimed I was bi. I thought I was done coming out. Then, oops, recently I discovered I was trans. You know? So the fact that you're always in a journey allows for there to be more journey, you know? And it's like, it's okay that I have to fucking come out 12 times. It allows for that. That way you don't sit there and you're like, but I already came out. Really? I'm this, 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 and this? And I can be like, yes, if you are, you are. And it's okay. And you don't have to all discover it at fucking once. And then another thing is, like I said, it doesn't let us be content with any kind of, like, heteronormativity or cisnormativity that could be better, you know, that didn't necessarily have to be there so much. We could work towards more acceptance and love and diverse perspective, at least being out there. So what do you think when you think about speeches and stories and things like this where it's like that revolve around progress narratives? What do you think is important to communicate? What does an ideal progress narrative look like to you? And things like that. Stop it. Thank you. He's got some skin irritation and he's licking it. I'm gonna have to give you a Benadryl. Yeah, that's what the vet said. I know. Finley and Elliot both came home from the vet today. It was really fun for Mom to navigate in a snowstorm. Wah, wah. So, what do you think? Like I said, I'm doing a project, writing a thing, making a speech, you know, something about this idea. And maybe it has to do with an event. And maybe the event involves something like graduation for queer people. Who knows? If you were to listen to a speech or be in a workshop in that context about that kind of thing, what do you think is important to hear, say, explore, talk about? I want to know.